Hello everyone and Dr. Dalia Jonas. Today, I will discuss one of the most significant disruptions in modern supply chain history, the Ever Given incident. Although the blockage lasted only 6 days, its impact extended far beyond the Suez Canal. It affected international trade, disrupted supply chains across multiple industries, and highlighted the vulnerability of the global logistics network. Through this presentation, we will analyze the incident, evaluate its economic and operational consequences, and identify the key lessons that organizations can learn from this crisis. To understand the full impact of this incident, I will begin with a brief introduction and background of the event. Then, I will explain why the Suez Canal is strategically important to global trade, followed by the key statistics related to the crisis. After that, I will discuss the impact on global supply chains, the economic consequences, the industries affected, and present a KPI and SWOT analysis. Finally, I will conclude with the major lessons learned and recommendations for supply chain managers. In today's global economy, companies depend on highly interconnected supply chains that span multiple countries and continents. Raw materials may come from one country, manufacturing may occur in another, and final products may be sold worldwide. As a result, transportation networks have become essential to business operations. When a major transportation route is disrupted, the effects can spread quickly across global markets. The Ever Given incident is a perfect example of how a single event can create a worldwide supply chain. Before discussing the incident itself, it is important to understand why the Suez Canal is so critical. The canal is one of the world's most important maritime trade routes because it connects Europe and Asia directly. Approximately 12% of global trade and around 30% of global container traffic pass through the canal every year. Without the canal, ships must travel around Africa, which significantly increases transportation time and cost. For this reason, the Suez Canal is considered a critical choke point in global logistics. On March 23, 2021, the Ever Given, a 400-meter-long container ship, became stuck diagonally across the Suez Canal after encountering strong winds and difficult navigation conditions. Because of its enormous size, the vessel completely blocked traffic in both directions. What initially appeared to be a local shipping problem quickly evolved into a global logistics crisis. For nearly 6 days, vessels carrying raw materials, consumer goods, oil, and industrial products were unable to move through the canal. These KPIs help us measure the scale of the disruption. The canal remained blocked for 6 days. A total of 422 ships were delayed. Nearly 12% of global trade and 30% of container traffic were affected. In addition, approximately $9.6 billion of trade was disrupted daily. From a performance perspective, these indicators clearly demonstrate the strategic importance of the Suez Canal within global supply chain networks. The blockage created disruptions throughout the entire supply chain. Upstream, manufacturers experienced delays in receiving raw materials and components. Internally, many companies faced inventory shortages and production delays. Downstream, retailers and consumers experienced delivery delays and reduced product availability. The incident also exposed weaknesses in just-in-time inventory systems, where companies maintain low inventory levels to reduce costs. While efficient under normal conditions, these systems can become highly vulnerable during unexpected disruptions. The economic consequences extended well beyond the shipping industry. With approximately $9.6 billion of trade affected each day, businesses faced higher transportation costs, increased insurance expenses, and delays in production schedules. Egypt also experienced losses in canal revenue during the closure period. Furthermore, some shipping companies were forced to reroute vessels around the Cape of Good Hope, adding additional fuel costs and increasing transit times by several days. This demonstrates how logistics disruptions can generate ripple effects throughout the global economy. Several industries were significantly affected by the crisis. The automotive industry experienced delays in receiving parts and components. Electronics manufacturers faced challenges obtaining products and semiconductors from Asia. The energy sector encountered delays in oil and gas transportation. Retail and e-commerce companies struggled with inventory shortages and slower deliveries. Overall, industries that relied heavily on global sourcing and lean inventory systems were the most vulnerable. The SWOT analysis provides a strategic perspective on the crisis. One strength was the rapid international cooperation that eventually resolved the blockage. However, the incident revealed major weaknesses, particularly the heavy dependence on a single transportation route. At the same time, the crisis created opportunities for organizations to diversify suppliers, invest in digital technologies, and improve risk management practices. The main threat remains the possibility of future disruptions affecting critical global trade corridors. The Ever Given incident provided several important lessons for supply chain managers. Organizations should diversify transportation routes and avoid excessive dependence on a single logistics corridor. Companies should also improve supply chain visibility and develop contingency plans for unexpected disruptions. Most importantly, the crisis demonstrated that efficiency alone is not enough. Modern supply chains must also be flexible, resilient, and capable of responding quickly to uncertainty. In conclusion, the Ever Given incident was much more than a shipping accident. It served as a global stress test for modern supply chains and demonstrated how a disruption in one location can affect industries and economies worldwide. The crisis exposed vulnerabilities in global trade networks while emphasizing the importance of resilience, risk management, and strategic planning. Ultimately, the incident reminds us that in an interconnected world, local disruptions can quickly become global challenges. The Ever Given crisis demonstrated that the strength of a supply chain is not measured by its efficiency alone, but by its ability to withstand and recover from unexpected disruptions. Future recommendations for supply chain managers. Based on the lessons learned from the Ever Given incident, supply chain managers should adopt more resilient and flexible strategies to reduce the impact of future disruptions. Key recommendations: 1. Diversify transportation routes. Organizations should avoid relying on a single trade route and develop alternative logistics options whenever possible. 2. Improve supply chain visibility. Companies should invest in real-time tracking systems to monitor shipments and identify potential disruptions early. 3. Develop contingency plans. Businesses should establish emergency response plans to ensure continuity during unexpected crises. 4. Increase strategic inventory. Maintaining safety stock for critical products can help organizations withstand temporary supply interruptions. 5. Invest in digital technologies. Artificial intelligence, predictive analytics, and digital supply chain platforms can improve decision-making and risk management. The Ever Given crisis demonstrated that the strength of a supply chain is not measured by its efficiency alone, but by its ability to withstand and recover from unexpected disruptions. Thank you for your attention.